All right. Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome to the Block Studio 3 podcast. This is the podcast where I am going to help educate people around Web3 and blockchain and kind of explain how brands and businesses and creators can utilize this technology to help them grow stronger communities and help them grow their brand in general. My name is Sean. I am the host of this podcast. And the funny thing, this is actually my first podcast I'm ever recording or doing ever. And I wanted to start this podcast series to, again, help educate people and really showcase what this new era of technology is going to bring. Now, this is, again, my first podcast that I'm doing for the Block Studio 3 series. And I'm going to try and create one podcast every week on new topics, new creative ideas on how to utilize NFTs and blockchain technology to grow your brand or business, whatever it is. If it's a personal brand, if it's your business that you've been doing for a long time and you're looking to step into some new area of technology to, grow your business even further. That's what this podcast is going to be for. Or if you're an influencer or someone who is starting off a company, I want to share some helpful tips that you can utilize to get started in this Web3 space if that is something you're looking to do. Now, in today's podcast, I do want to go over a few things. It's going to be very basic introduction stuff. I want to introduce myself, introduce kind of a simplified version, or I'm going to try to explain as simply as possible what the heck NFTs are, what the heck blockchain is, and all this stuff, and kind of, the first steps you can take. I want to also end the podcast with how can you get started in the space, right? Because I'm going to go over a lot of information to help you understand it, but at the same time, I want to also give out information on how you can actually take the information that I give and how can you get started in the actual space. So again, first thing we're going to do is kind of a self-introduction of myself and who I am. That way you know a little bit about my background and, as you listen to these podcasts and everything, hopefully, you can trust the information that I am giving and everything. So I just want to introduce myself real quickly. But my name is Sean Watase. I am based in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I kind of got into the whole NFT and Web3 space early 2021. I actually got introduced to the space through something called NBA Top Shot, and many people actually got introduced into the NFT space because of NBA Top Shot. But if you're not familiar with what NBA Top Shot is, it's basically digital collectibles of NBA highlight moments. So normally you can, collect a physical trading card of a still image of a player or someone, and those are trading cards. But because NBA Top Shot moments are digital collectibles, you actually you're collecting like highlight clips of NBA players. So instead of just still images, you are collecting 5 to 10 second clips, highlight clips of whatever NBA player and the play that they did for that highlight. So I'm a big NBA fan, and I was kind of dabbling with collectibles and everything. So I thought it was a kind of a cool way to enter a new space that was up and coming. A lot of people and my coworkers who actually introduced it to me were actually making money off buying and selling these NBA moments. So I figured hey, take a look at it. I collected a few moments, started collecting moments from my favorite players and my favorite teams and everything, and it was really addicting. I could buy a pack for $9-10, and I could instantly turn around and sell that pack or the contents of that pack for 50 to 100, even over $100, depending on what I got from the pack. So it was really fun because it was a collector thing, and it was really fun because it was the NBA and I was also making money at the same time. So it was a great way for myself to get started in the space. But me having a little bit of a tech background as well, I wanted to understand deeper what was actually going on behind the scenes of what were these digital moments. And then that's where I found out they were NFTs. Then I found out kind of and learned more what NFTs were, And from there, I really wanted to start investing into NFTs and start buying NFTs, but I didn't have, a lot of capital or anything to start off with. And at the time that I, finally started to learn more about NFTs, Bored Apes were, a little out of my price range already. They were maybe $6,000-$7,000. And, I didn't want to gamble that much money into a picture of a monkey yet, so I didn't, pull the trigger on anything like that. But I wanted to be able to invest and learn more about the space. So after NBA Top Shot in about March of 2021, a few months later, I came across a game called Axie Infinity, and the concept of Axie Infinity was, you would buy these characters like Pokemon, and you would just battle against other people who had these Pokemon, and they had different body parts and everything that gave them certain attacks. They were certain types and all that stuff. So it was a little game that you could play. But the cool part was you could earn cryptocurrency for winning matches. So they, called this concept play to earn. And it's a very known concept right now in the NFT and Web3 space. But you can basically play video games like you normally do, but in return, you would get cryptocurrency and you could earn money. So I thought of it a way as a safer investment for me to invest money, but my investment I knew could make me money, and that way I could take my earnings and invest into things and start to learn more about the space. And if I invest into something and it was a bad investment, or it went down to zero and wasn't worth anything, at least I could generate more cryptocurrency with the game and then use that to buy another NFT. So I saw it as a much safer way for me to invest my money into the space without having to start with a lot of capital. And I think at first I bought a team of 3 Axies because you needed that to play, and that was about $600. And after my first month, I went ahead and earned about $750. And from there, I took that 750 and I went ahead and invested it into some NFTs on OpenSea, which is a marketplace that you can buy NFTs from. But I went ahead and I bought a handful of NFTs, but one of the most successful ones that I bought were actually Cool Cats. I actually bought 3 Cool Cats for under $200 each at the time, and I bought some other cheap NFT projects on the side that didn't go anywhere. But Cool Cats definitely was a big project that I invested into. They ended up skyrocketing. I ended up selling 2 of the 3 Cool Cats. I still have one from my previous purchase, that purchase of 3. But I sold one just to kind of make profit back and make my money back so that, I could break even. And then I sold the other one to actually invest back into Axie Infinity to help me earn a little bit more money quicker, and I could invest more into NFTs. And that kind of started the phase of me learning to flip NFTs. I would buy NFTs, I would flip them for more. And that started the flipping game of, kind of what many of you may have heard on the news or something of, people buying these NFTs and then selling them for hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's basically what I ended up doing from like July to September, October of 2021. And yes, I profited a lot of money during doing flips and, trading NFTs. But as I started to do it, I really started to think of this from a building and business aspect of it. And I knew that, just flipping NFTs isn't going to be sustainable for one, income, and a sustainable method of utilizing NFTs in the long run. I knew that there was much more to this technology that could be built, and the potential of it was so much more than just buying something and flipping it for more money. We were basically treating it like internet stocks, and there's so much more utilization for NFTs that I think we've started to understand only in the past few months that NFTs are much more than just pictures of something or just these internet stocks that just have value because they're speculated to have value or something. So the end of 2021 was when I really started to take even a deeper dive into what NFTs were. And I really, really wanted to understand how they were built, how to utilize them. And I basically, started seeing how to build communities, how to use the technology for different things. But that was kind of the big turning point in where I saw the potential of NFTs. I still bought and sold some NFTs here and there that I felt, comfortable and, pretty confident that I could make some profit from. But majority of my time has now been spent to dedicating how to build these NFTs and how to help other people build successful projects, and not just projects that are going to blow up for 2 days and then die after. I really see the potential of NFTs being long-term successful businesses, but the way that we were doing it back at the end of 2021 wasn't necessarily the way to go about it. So I created my own projects. I sold out my own project in early 2022. And I also helped, build communities around other projects. I helped, plan out utility ideas of how to utilize NFT projects for certain projects. And I've helped a handful of people within my community of my NFT project, as well as people who have asked me to, help guide them or help build their own NFT project. I've helped other people in that area as well. So, the past 6 months or half a year, or, more than half a year already, almost 3/4 of a year, I've been dedicating to learn how to build and help people utilize these NFTs for long-term business success. And that's really the reason why I wanted to create this podcast, was because I want to go ahead and help people, do the same thing. I want to share this information, and I think sharing this information also is going to allow me to think of more creative ways to utilize NFTs as well. So again, that's just a little backstory of myself, who I am, how I got into the space, why I'm so passionate about the space, and what I really see NFTs and blockchain technology really becoming. Now, if you're very, very brand new to the space, you may not have really understood a lot of what I said. I was talking about NFTs, I was talking about something called blockchain, and you may have read something in the news about NFTs. You may have read something in the news about cryptocurrency, and you probably maybe had a friend refer you to this podcast, or you came across this podcast because you're interested in how to utilize this technology. So the next part that we're going to go into really is me trying to simplify and explain the best I can what Web3 is, what blockchain is, what NFTs, and what cryptocurrency is. Now, you might go out there and search a whole bunch of information, but I think one thing that's very important about researching is knowing how to research, or knowing what to research. And because this space is so brand new, a lot of times, people go directly into researching what NFTs are, what cryptocurrency is, but there's still some prerequisite knowledge that you need to kind of understand before going in and diving deep into those categories. So, over the past year and a half, almost 2 years, people have asked me, what the heck is an NFT? What is cryptocurrency? And I've, fine-tuned and kind of worked a way to best explain what those things are. So I'm going to go ahead and share how I normally share what the heck an NFT or what the heck cryptocurrency is with, people who ask me. Now, before you even get into what NFTs are and what cryptocurrency is, you have to really understand the underlying technology behind it. And I think understanding that allows you to really quickly and easily grasp what the heck, NFTs are. Now, the first thing I normally start off with is explaining this whole era, this generation that we're going to be entering. And many people call it Web3. You may have came across this terminology, or someone may have spit it out, or you probably read about Web3 when reading about NFTs and cryptocurrency. But understanding exactly what Web3 is, it's three, so we kind of have to know what Web 2 and what Web 1 was first. So Web 1 was the birth of the internet. That's your search engines, your Googles, your Yahoos, your Ask Jeeves, your Bings. That was the first era of the internet. You could go online, you could search something, and then you were given, results of different articles, different information. And basically, the internet was an information highway. You could search something instead of the old-fashioned way of going to a library and trying to find a book and read it. You could search a question and instantly find results based on articles and stuff online. That was Web 1. Web 2 is kind of the era that we're in, is the era that we're in right now. That's social media. That's your Facebooks, your Instagrams, your TikToks, your YouTubes, your Snapchats, all your social media platforms. That's Web 2. Now people were, doing the social aspect, the marketing aspect, the being able to create content and share content and comment on content and edit content online. The internet became a much more community-driven way and communication way of communicating with, digital products, whether it's video, photos, text, whatever it may be. These social media platforms started to allow anyone and everyone to share information with one another in their own way. And that's really the era that we're in right now, and we're kind of in the prime of it right now as well. Now, Web 3, if Web 1 was the birth of the search engines and Web 2 was social media, Web 3 in a nutshell is going to be something called digital ownership. Web 3 is going to allow you to own something digitally and give value to something digital. Now, it may seem too good to be true, or it could seem too much like a fantasy to own something digital because it's not there. You can't hold it in your hand. There's nothing physical. But as I go on through this explanation, I hope that digital ownership makes more sense. And that's really the goal of Web 3, is to allow you to own something digitally. And that way you can now give it some value, and you can go ahead and sell it and, to other people, basically like what people do with NFTs. But that is what Web 3 is, digital ownership. So keep that in mind as we go on through the breaking down of everything else. Now, there is something, so Web 3 again is the overarching umbrella that, covers basically everything that we're going to be talking about. Below that, though, is something called blockchain technology. And blockchain technology is the foundational technology that makes all of this possible. Without blockchain technology, we wouldn't be able to create digital ownership, and we wouldn't really have Web 3. So what is blockchain technology, right? So I'm going to try and break it down as simply as possible. Now, there's much more, of course, technical and detailed things that go into what blockchain is, but you don't really need to know it. You just need to understand how it works. So blockchain technology is a history of things that happen on the internet. So think of it like your internet web browser, right? If you go on your web browser and you go to history, you can look at all the different web pages and all the different things that you've gone to, what date you visited it, all those things. The blockchain technology does the same thing, except it tracks everything. Every little thing that happens on the blockchain, it is recorded, and this history log is kept. Now, unlike your internet browser, which you can go in and you can delete everything, clear your history, erase everything, that way it has no history, a blockchain's history cannot be erased. It cannot be erased, it cannot be manipulated, it cannot be edited in any way. It records exactly what happens on the blockchain, and it cannot be deleted. It is there permanently forever, right? And that's a very important part about what blockchains are. And that's what makes digital ownership possible on a blockchain. Now, it keeps that history of, things that happens on that blockchain. And this is how we're able to track things digitally, right? This is how we're able to say, hey, I own something digital, because we can look it up on the blockchain. And let me explain this. So let's just say I create a digital item, right? We're going to call it digital item 1. So I create digital item 1. That's going to be recorded on the blockchain's history, and it's going to say Sean created digital item 1. So if we look on the blockchain, we can see that Sean, me, I own digital item 1, right? I created it and I own it. Now I can send digital item 1 to my wife. So if I send it over to my wife, now on the blockchain, it records that in the history. So it says Sean sent digital item number 1 to his wife. Now, if we look at the blockchain, I no longer own digital item 1 because on the history, it says I transferred it to my wife, which means my wife now owns digital item 1. And again, that history and that information cannot be changed or manipulated in any way. So because I sent it over to my wife, it is now known on the blockchain that my wife owns digital item 1. Now, let's say my wife's friend wants digital item 1, but my wife says, hey, you're going to have to send me $10 for me to send you digital item 1. So my wife's friend sends her $10 in exchange for digital item 1. That's going to be recorded on the blockchain as well. So now on the blockchain, if we look at the history of it, we see that my wife's friend now owns digital item 1. And in exchange for that, they had sent $10 to my wife. So my wife owns $10. And if we go all the way up the history of the blockchain, we know that Sean created digital item 1. So he is the original creator of the digital item, but my wife's friend now owns that digital item 1. And this long history of everything that is done on the blockchain is what makes digital ownership possible, right? No one else can create digital item 1. It is impossible to create duplicates of an item on the blockchain. So if someone else tries to create digital item 1, it's not going to be called digital item number 1. It's probably going to be called digital item, let's just say 1A, right? Now, someone could say, hey, this is digital item 1, but we can look at the history and we can see that no, this is not digital item 1. Digital item 1 was created by Sean. If this one looks like it was created by someone named Bob. So we know, and we can look at this history of things that happen on the blockchain, and we're able to validate and verify if someone actually owns, the right digital product, and we're able to exchange these digital products with one another because it's all tracked on this blockchain. Now, why this differs from the internet is because we can manipulate data on the internet. We can, all your information is stored in a server that's owned by Google or owned by Apple or owned by one of these big tech companies, and someone could easily go in there or hack it and start manipulating and changing that information or data. On the blockchain, that's not possible. So that's what makes these things so, or that's what makes this digital ownership possible, is because blockchain technology. Now, we're going to take that same example and I'm going to now use it to explain NFTs and cryptocurrency. Now, remember, that is the foundational technology that makes NFTs and cryptocurrency possible. So if there's anything that you take away from this podcast, I would say more important than knowing what an NFT or cryptocurrency is understanding what blockchain technology does and how it works. If you want to go and do more research after this, maybe learn more the technical side of everything, start researching what blockchain technology is or how blockchain technology works. Because once you can understand that concept, it's going to be much easier to translate that to NFTs and cryptocurrency. But I hope that made some sense. Now we know that what Web3 is. It's digital ownership, and we kind of have a foundational understanding of what blockchain is. It's, a history, or they call it a digital ledger. That's kind of like the technical term that many people will use when explaining a blockchain. But it's a history of transactions or interactions that happen on top of a blockchain. And now that we know that, I'm going to go ahead and explain what cryptocurrency and NFTs are and why this digital stuff is going to be the next era of the technology that we step into. So I'm going to start with cryptocurrency first. Okay, cryptocurrency is a little easier to explain after explaining blockchain, and then we'll take it one step further with NFTs. So we're going to take that same example, right, of me creating digital item 1 and transferring it and everything, except I'm going to do this with cryptocurrency, right? A lot of times people don't believe in cryptocurrency because they think it's one, a scam, or how can we have something that's a digital currency, right? We have dollar bills, we have paper money, plastic money, but a lot of times now, even nowadays, the money that we deal with is digital. We're using credit cards, we're using debit cards. This is just a different infrastructure and way of keeping track of the transactions that happen, and it's utilizing blockchain technology. So let's just say I create a cryptocurrency and we're going to call it coin one, right? And I create 1,000 coin ones. So again, that's going to get written down in the history of the blockchain. It's going to say Sean created 1,000 coin ones, and I want to go ahead and send 500 of those coin ones to my wife. So I send 500 coin ones to my wife. That's recorded as well. Now, if we look at the blockchain, it says Sean owns 500 coin ones. Sean's wife owns 500 coin ones. And there can be no more other coin ones because I am the original creator of coin one and I only created 1,000 coin ones. Now, let's say my wife's friend comes to her again and she wants 250 coin ones. And my wife's like, sure, I'll give you 250 coin ones in exchange for $250. So they make that exchange. It's, recorded on the blockchain again. And if we look back at the history of the blockchain, it now states that my wife's friend has 250 coin ones. She received that in exchange for $250. So my wife now holds $250 plus 250 coin ones. And I have 500 coin ones. And I was the original creator of 1,000 coin ones. And this information is now tracked on top of this digital ledger or history of the blockchain. And that's in simple forms, that is what cryptocurrency is. And we are now able to track transactions. You can't create counterfeit currencies because we know that the original creator was me, Sean, who created 1,000 coin ones. And if someone is trying to use something that looks like a coin one, we can look at the blockchain and the history of it and be like, no, this wasn't originally created by Sean, therefore it has to be a counterfeit coin one. So there are a lot of things that cryptocurrency can help solve in the world when it comes to financial stuff. But that's, again, I'm doing a really, really simplified version of these things just so that you get an understanding of it. But that is how things are tracked and why someone can send one Bitcoin from one person to another. And it is because it is recorded on this blockchain or this digital ledger, this history of information. And we can look at this long history and see exactly who owns how much of this cryptocurrency, who it was sent to, who it was transferred to, and all this information in between. And in a nutshell, that is what cryptocurrency is. And that's why it's not just a fake digital coin, right? You can't just create Bitcoin out of thin air and just magically own Bitcoin because that's not how it works. With blockchain technology, you have to understand that things are recorded and this information of where this digital asset has gone to and where it's came from is all recorded, and we can look back at this whole history and know exactly where things went. So again, I hope all of this is making sense. If you're still a little bit confused, my main goal here is to help you guys understand this stuff. So if you still have questions, if you're listening to this podcast, drop your questions in the comments. If you're listening or watching this on YouTube, drop your questions in the comments as well. I want to, hopefully the next podcast comes around, I can take those questions and I can go a little bit deeper and hopefully answer those questions for you folks. But now let's take, again, this information and relate it to NFTs, right? So NFTs they pretty much work like how cryptocurrency works and my examples that I've gave before. But the only thing is now there's a picture on top of it, right? Now, a lot of times people, they make the joke like, hey, people are just buying and selling these JPEGs of monkeys or cats or dogs or whatever animal that, the NFT is a picture of. And Yes, that is what it looks like, at face value. It does look like people are buying pictures of monkeys and selling them for hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the one thing that I like to explain to people first is that the picture of an NFT, it's like a book cover, right? Think of an NFT as a book. The picture of the NFT is just the book cover. The meat and the chunk and the important stuff is the actual code or blockchain information within that NFT. It's the contents of the book. And I think, you know, that's where people don't take the time and everything to look into or understand. It's because at face value, yes, we are buying and selling pictures of monkeys, but there's so much more beneath that that has the potential to do much more stuff. So let's just say I create NFT number one, right? NFT number one is a picture of a monkey with a blue hat. And I create that NFT, and that NFT I'm going to call NFT number one. No one can ever create NFT number one because this NFT that I created, the monkey with the blue hat, is NFT number one. You can't create duplicate NFTs. And that's a great part about NFTs is you can't create another duplicate version of it. Now I create NFT number one, which is a monkey of a blue hat. And again, let's do the same example. I transfer it over to my wife. So that is all recorded on the blockchain. So if we look at the blockchain, it now says that my wife owns NFT number one, the monkey with the blue hat, but Sean was the creator of NFT number one. Now my wife's friend comes along. They want to buy NFT number one from my wife. My wife's like, sure, I'll sell it to you for $100. So again, that's now recorded all within the blockchain, and we can look back at the history, and now we see that my wife's friend owns NFT number one, the monkey with the blue hat. In exchange, how they got that NFT is they sent $100 over to my wife. And if we look all the way back up, it still says that I am the creator of NFT number one. So now let's just say Bob comes along again and it's like, hey, someone just sold this picture of a blue monkey or a monkey with a blue hat for $100. I'm going to create the same NFT, the same photo of the monkey with the blue hat, and I'm going to try to sell it for $100 as well. Well, Bob should know, and what the cool thing about NFTs is we can look back again at the history on the blockchain, and we can see that Bob's monkey with a blue hat is not NFT number one. It is NFT 1A, which was not created by the original creator, which we know was Sean, who is the creator of NFT number one. So even though Bob is selling an NFT of the same exact image, behind the scenes, the technology on the blockchain behind that image, we can trace and we can verify, and therefore people who know that the monkey with the blue hat is valuable can check, hey, was this monkey with a blue hat created by Sean, the original owner and creator of NFT 1? If it wasn't, then this is a dupe or this is a fake version of it. Therefore, it may not have the same value as the actual NFT number one. And this is really what NFTs are. And again, in a basic nutshell, there's a lot more utilization and things that you can do with NFTs that I hope, that I am going to go over on in later podcasts. But this is just to explain the basic and the fundamental idea of what NFTs are, and really wrap your head around what makes NFTs special and why I can't just copy an image and make it another NFT and sell it for the same exact thing. Everything, again, we're going to trace this back to blockchain technology. Everything is because of blockchain that we're able to own things digitally and verify and authenticate things digitally, because we can, again, look at this digital ledger, this history of stuff that has happened on the blockchain. And that's what makes this all possible. So I hope in all of that, I was able to explain a little bit more, really simply, on what cryptocurrency and what NFTs are. And again, if you're going to take away anything, and if you're going to do a little bit more research on what I'm talking about, really understand the concept of blockchain technology first. There are some really technical and detailed things out there, so don't get too confused. But once you kind of understand and grasp the concept, you're going to easily be able to understand what NFTs and cryptocurrency are. So again, I hope Web3, digital ownership, blockchain technology is the foundational technology that then builds out to making things like NFTs and cryptocurrency possible. So that is how I normally explain what NFTs and cryptocurrency are. A lot of times people just go straight into talking about what NFTs and crypto are, but really, if you don't understand how blockchain works or why blockchain is so important, you miss a really important part of what makes it all possible. So again, if you have any questions from what I am talking about, leave it in the comments. I would love to do Q&As at the end of these podcasts coming up. That way I can answer a few of your questions that you have on your mind. And yeah, let me know also how my first podcast is going. This is, again, my first ever podcast that I am recording. So I do plan on getting better equipment and everything later on, but I do want to just get the ball rolling on getting comfortable on the mic and talking and doing this whole podcast stuff. Don't worry if you're watching this on YouTube, the video quality and everything will get much better in the next couple months. Trust me. I'm just focusing on this, getting the actual content out first. But that brings us to the last part of the podcast, and that's really what I wanted to share with everyone, was how to get started, right? How do you get started in the space? You understand it, you have a better grasp of what the heck NFTs are and what the heck cryptocurrency is, but how do you actually get started in the space? Now, the very first thing, and that's the only thing I'm going to really go over in this podcast because I don't want to overwhelm you with so much information if you're brand new to this space. The first thing that you're going to want to do is create a wallet. Now, a wallet is going to be really the one tool that you're going to need to interact with NFTs. And really going forward, the majority of the information that I go over is going to be around NFTs. And yes, you will need a wallet to store these NFTs, to hold the NFTs in. And in later podcasts, I'll go over kind of the more technical side of wallets too, so you can wrap your head around why you need one or how you can use one. But you're going to need a wallet, and there's two wallets I normally recommend for people. The first one is going to be probably the most popular one, and it's going to work mainly on your computer, your laptop, your desktop. You are going to have to use the Chrome or Brave browser because it is a plugin that you're going to have to download, but it's called MetaMask, M-E-T-A-M-A-S-K, MetaMask. The logo is a fox, but this is going to be probably the most used wallet by people in the space, and you can download it again onto your computer. Most people are going to use it on your computer. There is a mobile app as well, but that brings me to the second wallet, which is going to be Trust Wallet, T-R-U-S-T. Now, Trust Wallet is a mobile wallet. I would say mobile wallet first, whereas MetaMask is a desktop wallet first. So if you're mainly doing things on a desktop or your computer, I would say download MetaMask. You can still get a mobile app if you want to. But Trust Wallet for me has a much nicer mobile interface, and it's much easier to use and much easier to understand on a mobile device. So if you plan on doing most of your stuff on a mobile phone, I would suggest downloading the Trust Wallet app. You can still use that wallet app to interact with things online if you choose to do so. But it just depends on where you plan on doing majority of, your stuff in the NFT space. Again, MetaMask for, desktops, laptops, computers, and then Trust Wallet if you're going to be doing it mainly on a mobile device. But it's very easy to go ahead and set up these wallets. I have a YouTube video up on how to set up a MetaMask wallet. It's very simple and very easy to do. The one thing that I want to share right now, if you choose to just go online and create one of these wallets right away, is you're going to be given a secret phrase, which is going to be like anywhere from 12 to 16 random words. Do not share that information with anyone. That secret phrase is very important and it gives access to your wallet. Think of it as like your social security number. Think of it actually more value than your social security number. You're never going to share this information with anyone, even if they ask for it. The only time you're going to put in this information is if you need to regain access to your wallet. So in later podcasts as well, I plan on going over wallet safety and how to keep your wallet secure and different ways of keeping your assets, your digital assets secure as well. But if you do want to get into the space and start kind of tinkering around with stuff, creating a wallet is going to be your first step, other than understanding the things that I went over earlier in this podcast. But creating a wallet is going to be your actual first step to interacting in the space. And again, I plan on going over a bunch of different stuff with these podcasts. But again, I really hope that this information that I shared with you folks was useful. It was helpful. If you were completely brand new to NFTs and cryptocurrency, or maybe you understood a little bit, but you didn't fully understand or grasp what it was about, and if my explanation or anything helped you, please let me know, because I'm always trying to tinker and find out the best way to how to explain this stuff to people. So I would love the feedback. Let me know again if you have any more questions. Let me know how I did. I think this is going pretty well for my very first podcast, and hopefully things just get better from here on out. Again, I plan on posting this podcast once a week. And again, we're going to be talking about blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, not so much cryptocurrency. It'll come up here and there. But my main passion right now is NFTs and how you can take advantage of this new technology and use it to really grow and build out your business, your community, and really, there are a lot of creative things that I think people aren't aware of if you're not, immersed in the NFT space right now. But yeah, I do think that taking advantage of this information and this technology early on, because yes, we're still early in this tech. Even though people have made millions of dollars already, there's still billions of dollars left to be made in the future. Just like social media, people are still opening up social media agencies. People are still doing social media stuff and making millions of dollars today. Why not start early with the next era of technology and learn about NFTs and how to utilize that technology for the future? Because the best thing that can happen is I can share this information with someone out there, and that's going to help them make million, 10 million, $100 million. So I'm rambling on now. I hope you folks enjoyed the Block Studio 3 podcast. Again, my name is Sean. Leave this podcast a rating, 5 stars. Leave it a good review wherever you're watching it. Give this video a thumbs up if you're watching it on YouTube. I hope that you folks enjoyed and you learned something new from this. And I will see you folks next week. Peace.